Welcome visitors to this channel if you haven't been here before. We have lessons we give from a university. We have all disciplines. Actually, we are a university. This is one of the YouTube channels I utilize to inform, instruct, and entertain and educate as an educator myself. For if you want to know more about me, go back and research my videos. You learn more about the idea of what we do here, and you see more about my background. Now, the topic today is spells and spell casting. What are spells and how do you cast spells? The first time we were introduced to spell was in school. It was a course called spelling. It was a part of the curriculum. You had to learn how to spell. And in these spelling classes, we learned there's something called vowels. VOWEL. A vowel was something that allowed you to actually say a word. Because if you didn't have a vowel, you couldn't really say the word because consonants are words that help vowels to pronounce themselves. Okay? A, E, U. These are vowels. A, E, I, O, U. So when you add a vowel to a consonant, then you can actually spell a word. Now let's go to the ancient language I'm familiar with. Let's go to Hebrew. In the ancient language, there was no vowels in the script. In the Hebrew script, there was no vowel because the people knew how to pronounce the word. That's a part of an esoteric teachings because if you are people and you know how to pronounce your scripts. In other words, there's an alphabet, but each word that you have can be pronounced different ways if you don't have vowels. However, if you're taught and instructed in schools, you don't need vowels to learn how to pronounce. You already know because you was taught how to pronounce that word. So vowels is something that was brought in for another people, a recent newcomer, to teach him how to pronounce our words. Because without vowels, he wouldn't know how. And it wasn't intent for everyone to pronounce the different languages. It was only for the people who were speaking the language. Otherwise, you have a usurper who can come in and use your language and take your place. You know what they call that? Trading places. So language was always constructed in a way where people could not trade or place because they would not know how to speak the language. So that's why vowels were used by a newcomer to give him a way of how to pronounce the language. Now, we talked about spelling, and spelling is a form of spell casting because you're actually taking a vowel. You are taking a vowel when you spell a word because words have vibration and they can create things, positive or negative. Give you an example. somebody say, well, I can never learn how to do this, they make that a law because you do not see yourself learning. You have just cast a spell on yourself that you will not learn it. That's the power of words. That's why I say you take a vow each time you use a word. It can be used for you or against you. Now, in this society and with this English language, in this particular society, the whole language is about spell casting. What am I talking about? Well, there's no separation from truth from falsehood when you cast a spell. It's all in the mind of the believer. Let me give you another example. Let's say, for example, you have something called science fiction as a category of a literature, a genre. But how can something be science and fiction at the same time? You see how confusing that is? I'm just using this as many, many examples if you just think about it. So this is how people are so confused because they're living under a false construct because of spell casting. What's the difference between mourning and moaning? Maybe a vowel? Maybe a vowel, M-O-U-R-N and M-O-R-N. They sound very much the same, don't they? So what if you were telling everybody, how was your morning? How is your morning? How is your morning? How is your morning? Do you see what's being said? You see what spell is? You're beginning to see the picture of what spell casting is all about? Because it's all in how you spell the word. And when you spell the word and cast a negative spell, that's called spell casting. Because nothing good comes from a spell. A spell is somebody who's in a trance. They don't even know they're in a trance. That's the nature of a spell. I used to try to find reasons and explanation for why people who come from such royalty, such brilliancy, and you know they're brilliant people because of how they master the physical. Now, if you can master the physical, you know can master the spiritual and the mental as well. So I tried to explain to myself, why don't we master the mental and spiritual? And that's why I'm making this video, because I'm trying to teach myself as I teach others. And I say because of spell casting. If all the movies you see is about slavery, that's a spell being cast on you. If all you talk about is black and white people, that's a spell you're casting on yourself. You cannot go no further than your mind takes you. I used to wonder, why don't we have movies about us having overcome whatever problems we want to overcome? Do you know that's the only way you can overcome it? You see yourself already overcame. But if these spells are cast on you to remind you, to lie to you, because that's what history does. History is nothing but spell casting. And it tells you in the word. It's not our story. Somebody casting a spell on you. His story. So some bright guy, not Woodrow Wilson, Carter G. Woodson, he said, we're going to change it. Instead of his story, we're going to make it Black history. Black history. Now, history we just showed you means it's not your story. So you're going to make something black, not your story? That is so evil and spell casting. Because people are living again and again something created for them, a part, a spell, to keep them in a certain level, unproductive. That's a spell that people been cast in. Because they use these terms like black, which in this language, there's no positive thing about black in the English language. But the spell will cast on you to tell you it's something you're proud of. Black means death. It means evil in this language. So how are you going to change the meaning? You can't change the meaning. You can change the definition. And you're going to make black, you're going to define black as beautiful. Do you see that spell? Can you begin to see what's being said now? I just sing the same old song again and again. All the topics, everything I studied comes back to that word, telling you not to call yourself black. And I'm understanding more and more why you should abandon that, because it keeps you in a spell. You want to break the spell? Find your ancestry. Find your national name, meaning that a country, your people is identified with a country or a family, which is a tribe, and it's not black. And when you identify it as that, you begun to break the spell. Otherwise, you are casting spells upon yourself and you're blaming white people. He didn't tell you to call yourself black. But you do that because of laziness of not finding out who you are, really. Did your great-great-great-great-grandparents call themselves black? No. What did they call themselves? That's what you need to find out. Break the spell. Stop casting spells on yourself and your children for generations. You can't see it because you're in it. So I hope you receive something from this lesson, because I give it as I receive it. No notes, straight from the hip. Peace, and let me know what you think. I really care. Thank you.